Welcome to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast dedicated to people who want to speak more as a way to build their income and grow their business. Well, welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. My name is Jane Atkinson. I'm the author of The Wealthy Speaker 2.0 and the Epic Keynote. Now, the topic of today's podcast is so important when it comes to becoming a wealthy speaker. The topic is developing your mountain moving mindset. Our guest expert today is Frederique Murphy. Welcome, Frederique.
Hi, Jane. Oh, I'm so thrilled to be here with you and all our listeners.
Well, I'm excited to have you on the show, and I want to tell everybody a little bit about you. So, specializing in inspirational leadership, Frederique Murphy is a mindset strategist who inspires and equips leaders to move through extraordinary change. With her mountain moving mindset, M3 platform, she equips you with scientifically based strategies to take your life, career, and business to a whole new level. With strong business acumen, 15 years plus of experience in corporate change, science expertise, which includes positive psychology, neuroscience, and behavior change, and strategic vision, she makes change happen. Frederique is a passionate and charismatic speaker who captivates audience when she takes to the stage. Sparks fly, and beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors will be instilled to create lasting change. So, Frederique, that's a lot of kind of technical language there. Tell us a little bit about your background. And I know people who are listening in will probably hear your voice and think, that's a very intriguing accent. So tell us a little bit about your background and where you're from.
Sure. So, let's tackle the accent because now all of your listeners must have heard me already when I said I was thrilled to be here. And by the way, and I'm always in that state, and I know you can vouch for it. I'm always that excited, but it's true. I'm super excited to be here. My accent comes in. Yeah, it's really interesting actually. I'm half French, half Irish, and I'm married to a Dutch. So what happens is some people sometimes, and I mostly work in the States. So I guess now we have the four facets. So what happens is sometimes people say, oh, she sounds French. But then, oh, hang on a minute. I'm hearing some kind of Northern Norwegian or Sweden or Dutch tones. So that's from my husband. Okay. I work in the States. So sometimes my are really American. And my mother tongue is English, which always surprises everyone. And so my colloquialisms are, very Irish. So here you go. You have those four different things put together.
There you go. And tell everybody where you're coming to us from today.
Republic of Ireland. So our beautiful Emerald Island.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So your background in terms of where you are and where you've come from with the speaking industry, how did you land here?
Wow. I will have to fast forward, but where I'll start is really actually at the beginning, and then I'll do a huge fast forward. The beginning is I was in a very difficult place, and actually, it's I'm starting there because I know it's going to tie in with where we're going to dive in a few minutes. I was really lost. Saying that I was a shadow of who I am today is like the understatement of the year. And I was 17, and I just, for a multiple series of reasons, just decided to pack everything that I owned, which wasn't much. Ended up with this one suitcase, and then hopped onto a flight, and never looked back. And I was in such a state that I dived into self-development for myself. I really needed it. And being fascinated by the mind, I just thought, my goodness, it just felt like I had stumbled upon the most powerful secret weapon, this, amazing power where you could learn how your brain was working and how your mind was working and really change everything, your life, your career, your business. I did it. I am doing it. And then I thought, I cannot keep this for myself. I have to create something. And then Mountain Moving Mindset was born. You know, and what we do is everything, exactly like it says on the tin. When your mindset is strong enough to move mountains, your mindset is strong enough to accomplish anything that you want in your life. So I was determined to learn, and still am. I'm a forever, evergreen learner, where I can learn as much as possible on the mind and the brain. And so going through that, I went from social psychology to behavior change, really fascinating about what makes people tick, how can we change. I then started adding neurolinguistics. I then loved it so much, I moved on to quantum linguistics. I then loved it so much that I started adding neuroscience. So then I could really understand the inner work of the brain, because I realized that when I focus on that mind, our mind is so strong that we can really tap into the power of the brain and really make it work for ourselves. Wow. In all of this, I call it the M3 power. So for Mountain Moving Mindset and that power, because I just feel that everyone can just use it and be so empowered by it. Because the beauty of it is that with everything that we're going to be teaching over the next 30 minutes, we don't have to buy anything, because we all have a mind. We have it. But the difference is going to be, do we have that? Do we let our mindset have that force to be? Would it be an empowering force or a disempowering force? And that's really what I focus on every day.
I just think it's so important, Frederique, because at the whole beginning of the Wealthy Speaker 2.0, we have to cover the mental aspects of this. I've seen so many people go high up on the mountain, and I've actually done it myself, where I've combusted. I wasn't ready for the types of income that I was earning, and so I had to go back and start over again and then build it back up again, because I think really it's important. So what would you say your definition of mindset is? I think that'll give us a nice foundation to build from.
Oh, wonderful. And I'm delighted you're asking, because mindset is, it's such a big word, isn't it? And it's, people are using it quite a lot, and they'll say, have the right mindset. And you're kind of thinking, okay, I'm quite confused. It's big and it's overwhelming.
Yes.
So your mindset is your philosophy in life. It drives absolutely every single thing that you do in life and in the way that you lead yourself, your career, your business. It's everything. It's like, we think about it, philosophy in life. It impacts your reactions, your decisions, your actions, or your lack of reactions, or your lack of actions, or your lack of decisions. Everything.
I love it. I love it. Are you still with me?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a delay there, but I don't know.
Okay, we're fine. We have a storm going on, podcast listeners. So if anything happens, you will know that thunder has struck. It's because Frederique's ideas are so powerful that lightning is literally coming down on us. The energy between the oceans is just too much. Okay, so that's our definition, and you've got several ideas. I really believe in what you're saying, because I think that my own mindset has always been one of continuous learning, so that when bad things rain down on us, which they do, right? Everybody has something that goes on in their lives. I'm not asking why me, but I'm saying what's next, or, what can I learn from this? Or the kinds of questions that you ask yourself, I think, are really important here. So you have some really great techniques, 3 key ideas for boosting your mindset. Let's start with that key number 1.
Great. I'm glad we're doing this, because, as I said, mindset is so big. The way of for you listeners listening to us right now is to ask yourself, where do I start? And I always say, see your mindset as this huge piece of charcoal, and it has many, many, many multifacets. And I thought a great intro to this could be that we would start with the 3 ABC of mindset.
Okay.
So any of those 3 facets, when you're going to focus on them, you're going to boost your mindset. And when you boost your mindset, you increase your results. And the first one we're going to do is, I always say, if mindset had an A, it would be for awareness. Awareness, awareness, awareness. And I know that you've heard that before many times during some of your interviews, because Joe Calloway also talks quite a lot about awareness. Awareness is so important. Awareness of ourselves, awareness of our thoughts, our belief, our reaction. It's really, really important. And that's why we really want to focus on it. I'm sure you've heard, and most of our listeners will have heard that as well, that we have 2 minds, right?
Okay.
We have a conscious one and we have an unconscious one. Now, most people have heard that, but then there's something that we assume wrongly, is that we assume, fair enough, we have 2 minds, so 50%, 50%, right? 50% conscious, 50% unconscious. It's just a normal assumption that, we make. But here is, and pun totally intended, mind-blowing fact, is that actually our minds are not split 50-50. We are, at any point in time, this is mind-blowing, right? We are conscious of 5%.
Wow.
And 95 is our unconscious mind. Now, like you said, well, I said it as well. I think it's an amazing statement. Now, already us knowing this is the power that it gives us. What we do with that awareness is that we basically consciously, by focusing on it, we basically shift things from unconscious to conscious, because it's really hard to tackle something that we are unsure of, that we are unaware of. And I know it kind of makes sense when you hear that statement, but actually, if you really listen to the words, it is hard to tackle something that you are unaware of. Like in English, we have this expression where we say, when we keep something at the back of our head, like, well, if it's at the back of your head, it's really hard to tackle.
You need to bring it to the front.
You need to bring it to the front.
Okay.
Another expression that we use is we say that things are fuzzy. Like, my vision, it's a little bit fuzzy. Well, that's another example where, focus on that and, bring that to your awareness so that you can move it from unconscious to conscious. It's that idea of shifting. So that would be our first facet.
Is there an example that we can give to kind of make that a little more concrete?
Sure. So the way I would do it is, so the B of our ABC of mindset is definitely going to bring a concrete aspect to that awareness, because it's going to tie into it. Okay. Because for B, we're going to have belief.
Okay.
Now, our beliefs are so important. I always like to say, like when I'm on stage and I'm explaining this to an audience, I always like to give them that metaphor of our beliefs are like glasses we put on, sunglasses we put on, and because they impact the way we view our world. And we each have different sets of beliefs. And here again, we have what's really great to know is that we have 2 sets of beliefs, 2 types. On one hand, you have those most amazing beliefs. We're going to call them the empowering ones. Those beliefs when, you wake up in the morning, you're jumping out of bed, you have a spring in your step, you're just feeling on top of the world, and that today is going to be the most magnificent day. That's an empowering belief. It's one that, we all know those feelings. It has happened to us. The second type is the one that we tend to talk to the let's say professional term is limiting belief. The reason why we call them limiting is because they limit us to do something. Some of the most common one are going to be, and here we hear, I know in your words, so your audience would be familiar with this, and your listeners, you use the green gremlins. So I am not good enough. I am not worth it. So
Right.
all of those, can we hear the different energy of them? We call those limiting ones.
Right.
Now, here, from a concrete perspective, how this facet can be boosted is that we tie in the B with the A. So we take that awareness and we really going to, it's like switching on the light onto our belief, because most of our belief belong into that 95% of unconsciousness.
Right.
So very rarely do we, and I have a great example for you, and I know it's going to ring true, and for many of our listeners kind of nodding along as they listen to us.
Okay.
I was working with, like, in addition to speaking, I also do training and consultancy, and I was working with a higher executive in a large organization. And during one of our session, he was stuck. We all know that feeling where no matter what we are doing, we're just stuck, not progressing. And we've been talking about quite a few things, and suddenly it's something that he said, and I just, I had that, let's say, sixth sense of who I am and what I do, and so I totally narrowed into it, and I said, oh, okay, I'm going, we're gonna go there, and we started talking about belief around money, and his goal was around, struggling with his bottom line and increasing the bottom line, and not understanding why it wasn't going higher and higher. And suddenly, something that he ensured me, which I totally believed him, he said he had not thought about it in over 25 years. He suddenly realized that his grandmother used to tell him, and this is where it's so important, because most of our beliefs, we pick them up from our parents, our grandparents, right, aunts and uncles. His grandmother used to say that wealthy people are filthy people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so, as we're talking, there's this huge weight that's just shifting. You actually, at this stage, that's what I love about what I do, because as well, when I'm on stage, I can see it. You just have this physical change of someone, just going through a breakthrough. And what we basically just do in a few minutes is that we've gone that A, awareness, focusing onto that B of belief. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as he said out loud the words, he suddenly realized that he used to believe that, right, and that had driven him. But as soon as he said it out loud, then that was conscious. And as soon as he was conscious of that limiting belief, he just realized
he could change it.
He can change it.
You can't change what you're not aware of, or the things that are buried deep within. And I think a lot of us were raised by how many people grew up with money doesn't grow on trees and ideas like that. My dad, oh my gosh, thank goodness he did. He lost his job when he was 55 years old, and very difficult to get an engineering job at that age. There's all these youngsters coming up to take the jobs, and so he became very depressed about it. But I remember, I know how much I have had to work to get out from under his belief system and form my own. And I became very recognizant of that. That's not really a word. When I lived down in Dallas and I worked for Vince Vicente, who was an Olympic athlete, he talked a lot about beliefs and changing them. That was so helpful to me. So it's amazing, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it is, because most of the thing, and that's why those facets I said, I truly believe that they can create such a boost, because as soon as you increase your awareness and also then start working on your belief, you can, the second, and that's why people say change takes time. It is not true. At the mind level, at the brain level, what I do on stage is I snap my fingers. That's how change can happen.
Wow.
In your brain.
Well, isn't that nice to know?
The second he said that out loud, he realized, okay, I will not hold on to that belief. And that's enough. Right. It doesn't have to be hard. It's not easy, but it doesn't have to be hard. So then you can change, and what you do is you swap I'm sure we could have an entire section on belief, during the podcast, but we're going to move to our third key and then,
Okay.
continue. But
Sure.
we can change everything in an instant.
So maybe an assignment for our podcast listeners would be answer the question, how were you raised to believe about money or about wealth? And I really believe in defining wealth to be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be this, you don't have to live in a castle on the hill. I'm just talking about developing wealth to the degree that would make you happy and secure. And so perhaps we could leave everyone with that exercise. Is that a good question?
It is, and if you wanted, and we can put it in the show notes. I
Yes.
actually have an entire article, which is a step-by-step, because I'm sure now all of you
Perfect.
listeners know they've understood. I always give steps and strategies, so we really dive in. And it is about money. So if we wanted to focus on this, it's actually a 3-step process that we can do. So we need pen and papers, and we could. If you wanted, we could put it in the show note as an extra resource.
I love it. I love it. We'll have Derek do that for us. Perfect. Okay, shall we move on to the C then?
So awareness, belief, and now we come to C. C for clarity. Now, I'm going to say something that I know at first is going to sound funny.
Okay.
When we know, and I mean really, really know, I'm talking 100% clear clarity of what we want to achieve, what we are aiming towards, then we're able to move forward. The reason why I know that sounds funny is that people are listening and they're thinking, well, duh, of course, Frederique. Yeah, I understand that. But here is why it's funny at first, but actually it makes a lot of sense, because if we were really listening to the language, because that's where our brain comes in. Our brain believes every single thing that we say, which is why language is so important, because our brain listens and, either can totally spur you on the moment or extinguish, whatever you're going to do next. So in terms of that clarity, the analogy I like to use so that our listeners can really follow us on that boost and that key is, when you are let's say we are in an adventure park. It doesn't really matter where you are, as long as we can all close our eyes and see ourselves in front of a map. One of those maps where it tells you where you are, and then maybe
Oh,
you
yes, you are here. Yes.
you are here. Yeah. So one of those maps, maybe it's an airport, maybe it's an adventure park.
Yes.
Wherever you are, we know those maps. Well, here is where the clarity facet comes to play. Is that of course let's say we are at A and we want to go to B. Mm-hmm. When we know where A is, it's going to be really easy for us to go to B, because we're going to go in front of the map and we're going to see that huge sign that says, usually in the map in like orange, it's often in orange or in red. There's like this extra map that actually shows you where you are. This is your start point. And from that start point, you can look at the map and you can go, okay, this is where I want to go. And with your eyes, you can see, this is the path, If the "you are here" sign wasn't on the map, mm-hmm. How difficult will it be to go to where you want to go? Well, really hard, because you don't know where you are. Does that make sense?
That's how they do it in Mexico. They do not like the "you are here" sign in Mexico or in Dominican. I just came back and there's no "you are here" signs. I can totally see where you're coming from. So really recognizing where you are, and not just the clarity of where you want to go, but really recognizing where you're starting from.
Yes. Because it's much easier to move towards something when we know where we're starting. And pairing it with that awareness and the belief, it's a really powerful process. And I mean, I have some clients, they'll just like every day, they'll just start and they'll really focus on their, how am I ABC today? And it takes you a few minutes once you get the beauty of it. And I just want to do a small segment because I just want to show how easy it is. But with our brain is how easy we can create a repetitive path. Oh, nice. So in our brain, everything happens from one neuron communicating to another neuron. And I won't go too technical. A neuron is a brain cell. So we can, a neuron equal a brain cell. They are the same thing. Different country call it different, the same.
Sure.
So one cell to another cell gives a direct, something. Let's call this a path. It goes from neuron A to neuron B. Okay. Now, the beauty of it is that we can create, and here again is where I would snap my fingers. We can create a path in an instant because the brain is listening, and your brain just wants to help you with whatever you want to do, which means that when you start something for the first time, it's new for the brain. It's like when you walk across a field where there is no path. What happens is if you were walking one time from the left to the right, and then you turn around and you look, and the grass has been because you've walked on the grass, you can faintly see where you've walked.
Yes.
But what would happen if then you just go back exactly on your path, and you do this 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times? Suddenly your path would be a total pathway where everyone would then go on it. And this is what happens in your brain. The brain only needs 3 times. That's why this is another fact that for people to really hear it and go, whoo, wow, my brain is so cool. 3 times your brain pick it up as a repetition. Like, people say it takes days and months for habit. No. Your brain will pick it up as little as 3 times to start seeing a pattern. And from that pattern, you just do it over and over again, and it makes the path so easy. And then that's how you can change a habit, for instance, or create a habit, or create that ABC path that is going to be so powerful when you are, waking up in the morning and just setting yourself for the best.
Nice. So what do you want to give us just a real quick of your morning routine?
Oh, wow. We probably could do an entire show on this. No, did we not have something else planned?
That's okay if you don't want to share it with us.
I will actually. I was thinking this is really funny you're asking actually because you don't even know I hadn't had the time to share that with you. But there will be a Kindle ebook on this. So.
Really? I love it. Okay. Well, we're going to have to make sure we update the show notes when that's available. And so that's going to be all about how to start your day.
The best mountain moving mindset routine. So
I love it. Okay, perfect. So let's say you've had a setback. What would you say your first step is from there? What do you do? You've been knocked down.
Yeah, this is what we want to do. I'm sure everyone listening, you and me, I'm everything that I create, it's because I've personally needed it. And sometimes I needed it like 10 years ago, but sometimes I just needed it yesterday.
Yes.
Resilience is something that you can teach your brain. And it's about that path, which we just spoke about. And the more you do it, the less you actually end up having to do it because your brain just pick it up and know the path and know where to go. And we, as you said, we all have setbacks and obstacles, from cash flow problems to personal ones to, maybe having an entire week or an entire month of receiving no's. And it just really, it really starts kind of eating at our belief, our self-belief, our confidence. And the real thing that I'm glad we're going to talk about now is that we cannot always control the events in our life, but we can always control our thoughts, our decisions, and actions. But we can only do this if we have some M3 power. So if we know what to do. So when we lose that, it's really detrimental to our life and our career, because when we stop believing in ourselves, we negatively impact absolutely everything that matters to us. We have that doubt in, that pit in our stomach and that uncertainty, and it just clouds our judgment. So I've developed this process, which I'm thrilled you've invited me so that I can share it with our listeners. And it's going to be 7 steps 7 keys to apply for us to push through this so that we can boost our self-belief, boost our self-confidence, and really continue to make it happen. Because stuff happens. It happened yesterday, it probably happened today, and it's going to happen tomorrow. So it's not about going, why me, which you said, at the beginning of the call, we said, you said that, because the why me is really useless. It's about focusing on what can we do about it. So our first step is going to be about, I want to call it fight.
Okay.
It is fighting. For years, I thought that being angry was to be avoided at all costs. And I was wrong. That anger, we have to use it to our advantage, because when something negative has happened, you know what? It's absolutely normal and it makes total sense for us to be angry. Now, what we do is we use it to fight, because whatever has happened, we're still here and we're still breathing. The way of shifting that first step and of really starting to integrate that process is that adversity only wins when we let it win. I know it's a vulnerable time. So whatever our listeners went to, for some of you that may be very, very, very close, some of you may be remembering something, but I know it's a vulnerable time. But it's a time to really decide what's going to be. It's okay to be angry. Don't cover it up, but instead use it to channel this, to take a stand and fight. That's how you want to feel. Even when I'm saying this to you, I just feel I'm just breathing more clearly. My chest is open and just my arms tend to clench. And you just want to be in that state where the process is going to work a lot better when you accept where you are and you're just going to fight, which then is going to move us to step number 2, where we're going to call it think. We want to go to that think place. Now, I hear some of you going, oh, hang on a minute. I'm like, I'm probably a tiny bit still angry and this has happened to me.
I'm still fighting. I can't move to thinking.
How am I moving to think, Frederique?
Right.
Okay. You know what? The anger has served you, but now you need to release it because you need to progress further. Whatever has happened, an event, a person, a situation, I want you to be thankful to it. Now, I know it's a hard step, and believe me, I did say to you, I know what it is to have had setbacks and to still have setbacks and to have things happen. And it's not about being thankful to, I said eat, because it's whatever is going to make you stronger in that moment. Because being thankful does not mean that you approve of what has happened. And I think some people hear thankful and they think, but I can't be accepting that this has happened. But it's not about approving what has happened. It does, however, mean that you accept it did, so you can take that control back. Okay. As long as you don't, you give your control away. You see, these events, this situation, they don't deserve to have any power over you. It happened, and you can shift to a place of thanks for having made you stronger.
Okay.
And that in itself is so thankful, because then we move on to the third step of our process. We get up. C, we take stock. Whatever has happened, ask yourself, which is really interesting because you and I hadn't talked about it, and you actually gave it kind of away in your intro when you said, when something happened to me, I don't go to the why me. I go, what can I learn from it? Mm-hmm. And this is how we take stock. I truly believe that challenges make us stronger by teaching us lessons. I can think back of so many negative experiences in my life, and I can identify for each of them at least one lesson per negative experience that has actually served me later on my journey. And it's really an impactful way to shift this around, because out of any negative experience, we can find a positive one. I like to say that, there is a silver lining for everything, but the only way to find it is to look for it. Mm-hmm. I like that. And it's I think, and most of our audience listening right now, like me, we are all speakers, right? And those things, they make you that extra special on stage. those lessons. And I think that's why it's time to learn. You learn from it, and now you get up.
Okay.
Moved on to our fourth step. We let go. See, here we reach that halfway. We are halfway through. And this is such a pivotal moment because it's really time to let go. The instant we decide to let go of whatever it is we need to let go of, we progress. So the instant we decide to let go of whatever it is we need to let go of, we actually progress. We need to decide, you know what, it's time to step out of that victim place. And we talked a little bit about being that victim before. And again, I know I've been there. So I know, things happened. And yes, it hurt, but it's time to let go. Think of it that way. Whatever has happened, you let it impact you on your timeline. So it's time, because that negative experience has had enough power over you. You let go of the past and you focus on the empowering fact that you can do everything you want to shape your future. Because when you stay stuck in the past, you just negatively impact everything. And we just shift it that way. Wow, hang on a minute. What I'm about to do in like 1 minute is up to me. Like I always say to people, I've said that before, but I have to stop, I stop myself in my track when I say that. But I hear lots of people saying it. They go, one thing happened in the morning, and they go, it's going to be one of those days. No, hang on a minute, let go, because the time only impacts you on your timeline. So you decide, because now it's time to move up to our fifth step. And our fifth step is to believe. Sometimes with all of the things that happened, exactly where we started, negative things happen and they start chipping away at our belief. And it's kind of weighing them down, all of our self-belief, which is so critical to our success. So at this stage, we want to remove that stuff. And we want to keep in mind those three steps and those three facets we started with. We want to be aware of what's happening. And we're doing those steps. We already have achieved quite a lot. We're fighting, we thanked, we got up, we're letting go. And now we're in that place where it's time to reconnect. We want to reconnect to that why. And I think one of the greatest way to really connect and to stay on that path is to connect on why you're doing what you're doing.
Okay.
And it's really going to help. And when you access it, you're going to feel it. You will be reconnecting. You'll just, I don't mean to make it sound like this, but you will feel it. So I won't give examples because like a few of you could just have different feel, but you'll know when you're reconnected to that belief, because then it's time to continue through our wonderful path that you are building right now in your brain, because now it's time to roar. It's time for complete integration. You know what? It happened. You got angry, you turned it around to give you that oomph you needed to continue. Then you release that anger by giving thanks to take back control over the negative experience so that you can continue. Next, you learn from it. So you took stock. At least you have one lesson that will serve you. Next, you freed yourself from the negative experience so that you could let it go, so that you can really continue. Next, you've reconnected with that inside feeling, that feeling that that you can, because you've done it before, so you can absolutely continue. Mm-hmm. And next, you assimilate. You have all of the pieces, and it's really time to pursue your dreams and really roar. It's almost a loop where we are really back to that standing positions where we are into that amazing raw environment. Because then, the last one is when we act. This is our last and final. It's like we have arrived. We were here, now we have arrived. We've done the inside work. We are ready. We are roaring, and it's really time to take action. Your dreams deserve your dedication and commitment. So it's about really go out there and make it happen and really take that first step. And after that first step, if you don't know what else to do, just take again another first step. Because, don't let people think that you need to know step number 437 before you start moving. Mm-hmm. Just focus on that first step.
Well, I love the idea of moving through this, and hopefully you can learn to move through it fairly quickly because when you are under consideration for speaking engagements and things like that, you're giving out a certain vibration to the world. And if you are in a knockdown state, I think it's going to be very difficult for you to sell yourself. If you're in roar,
Mhm.
if you're out, kind of beating your chest, and I can see the difference between fight and roar. Fight is just saying, "Hey, wait a second, I'm getting up," and then
Absolutely.
roar is really your last step before action. I think that's very, it's a very positive version of fight, and I like that a lot. I think that in that phase, you'll be unstoppable. People will
Mm.
not be able to resist your energy because you'll be putting something really strong out there.
In my word, we call this moving mountains.
Aha! You will be moving mountains because your mindset will be intact, giving us the M3 solution, which is fantastic. So, what else do people need to know? And we're going to tell them about how to get in touch with you as well.
Sure. I love to connect. I'm sure people who have, I know some of you, and I know some of you, it's the first time you would have heard me. I love to connect. I'm very active on social media. So anything you want to ask, I'm more than happy to help. I'm on my website, which I know will be on the show notes. So frederiquemurphy.com, and you'll see all of the links to the social media. Anything you have in mind, just ask. I just love to connect.
Wonderful. And I think people can really see the positivity behind your words, Frederique. You really are literally a breath of fresh air, and I'm so appreciative that you've taken the time out of your busy calendar to be with our listeners here on the Wealthy Speakers Show. So with that, I will say thank you so much. Check out frederiquemurphy.com. We'll put it in the show notes as well. And we will see you soon, Wealthy Speakers. Bye for now, everyone. Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speakers Show. Please visit speakerlauncher.com for your free Wealthy Speaker audit, and visit speakerlauncher.com/podcast for show notes and many more resources to help you catapult your speaking business. See you soon, Wealthy Speakers.